All right, what's up, guys? We're talking Auburn, California. If you've been thinking about moving to Placer and Auburn, California is that spot for you, but you just want to maybe learn a little bit more about it, I got Aaron, myself, we're going to talk breweries, farmers markets, all that fun stuff. Let's get going right now. All right, Aaron, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to talk about Auburn. Auburn's a really cool place. So
Oh,
what
Auburn,
do you want to talk
California.
about, man?
All right, let's start first of all, you've been looking to move into spots. You like Shingle Springs. Why is Auburn at all on your radar?
Uh, you know, a lot of times on the channel I talk about how when you're moving to Sacramento, like the greater Sacramento region, you kind of have to decide on which freeway you want to base your life off of if you don't want to, commute a bunch. And it just so happens that for me, all my family, I mean, like my whole life is pretty much based off of like the Highway 50 corridor. So naturally, Shingle Springs, Placerville, those areas make a lot more sense for me. But if I was somebody that was spending more time on the 80 side of town, so like the north side of Sacramento basically, then Auburn would probably be number one on my list if I was being 100% honest. And like for me, I like doing stuff outdoors, whether it's hiking, riding mountain bikes, doing whatever. I like being outside, and there's so much to do in Auburn and also like within the general vicinity of Auburn. There's a lot of little lakes. So if you're somebody that likes, going wakeboarding or skiing or fishing or, whatever the case is, there's a whole lot of options. And then Auburn's like it's a really cool little town. I mean, it's not a tiny town by any means, but it definitely has a small town vibe, and it's got a really cool like downtown strip. You mentioned on the intro, farmers markets and all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's a sweet area. It's basically like the downtown Auburn strip, if you will, and there's a bunch of restaurants, some really cool restaurants. There's a place called Awful Annie's, which is a really cool breakfast spot. They serve other stuff, but breakfast is on point. You got bars, art shops, little knickknack stores, all the stuff my wife loves, stopping in and looking at. Auburn's one of those places where, like, if you're not from Auburn, you probably travel to Auburn to go like hang out for the day, to go, just walk around or do things, because there's just like a whole bunch of stuff to do. In terms of price point, you're still gonna pay a pretty good price point in the Auburn area, but you're a lot closer to like there's a much higher population there than, like, for instance, if you were to move out to Cool or Forest Hill or one of like the surrounding areas that's like truly like real small town living. But Auburn's sweet. What else do you want to talk about Auburn?
I like Auburn. I mean, I think if you're looking for like that kind of Hallmark Channel vibe, Auburn's a great spot. If you're a mountain biker, you like hiking, breweries, you like that kind of vibe there, I
Oh
think
yeah.
Auburn's good. I mean, it's got it all, and there are cons, of course, of any place to live. And like we talked last week about Shingle Springs, there is a lot of fire insurance going on in Auburn, and it's
Hmm.
not cheap. So fire insurance, you're going to run into problems too. But it's if you're looking for something that has kind of like, in Auburn, here's the thing though too. You'll look on the map and you'll be, oh, Auburn's so cute and charming. They've got some pretty big, like, $1 million homes in the hills of Auburn. I mean, people have invested a lot of money. Some of these houses that like are just mind-boggling. I mean, they're just huge. They're set up in some of the best parts, the best like scenery of Northern California. I mean, they're $1 million like compounds, I guess you can call them up there as well too.
The
But I
the
love going to Auburn.
views
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
the view properties in Auburn are insane. Like you can see some of it when you're driving along 80 and you're heading east, like you're driving up towards Auburn. As you drive through Auburn to the right, you can see like that's where the Forest Hill Bridge is. That like where the Vin Diesel movie where he jumps off the bridge with the
Yeah, yeah,
parachute.
yeah.
That's where they did that. That's one of the highest bridges in America, actually. And that whole just giant canyon creates massive views all over the place. And the cool thing is you've got the North Fork of the American River basically like hugs the east side of Auburn, and that's where like I had talked about like I love going up there because there's a place called the Auburn Recreation Center, which is just like a massive state park essentially, and it cuts through the American River. There's all sorts of trails and everything that's really cool over there. But you had talked about how like there are like luxury properties up there. I would argue that there's probably more luxury like high-end properties up there than you would find in like Serrano or maybe Loomis or some of the other areas in town that are really well known for being like the high-end homes. There's some just massive compounds that people have built out there with some really like high-end properties overlooking the American River or the entire Sacramento Valley or whatever. But not to say that there's not a ton of homes for all us regular folks too. So I mean, there's it kind of has something to offer to anybody really.
Well, I think so. I mean, Auburn, like a lot of people from the Bay Area might recognize Auburn from the place that they kind of drive through to get to Tahoe. I
Mm-hmm.
remember back in the Go Battle days when I was driving up to North Tahoe to go snowboarding. It's like Auburn was a stop along the way. And then I kind of knew how close I was to Tahoe. But Auburn's also one of those spots where you kind of have to drive into Auburn a little bit to kind of feel it out completely. Along the freeway, you're not going to get the whole vantage point of Auburn. You're going to need to drive in there. It has kind of like a very kind of hilly kind of vibe to it, like Mill Valley-ish
Mm-hmm.
if you guys are from Marin. It's really, really nice though. But the homes are really, well taken care of, really, really nice. It's kind of like, whenever we go up there with clients, you have to kind of know Auburn to show Auburn correctly. You just can't kind of look at houses and then go. I mean, Auburn's got its like niche communities.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really just a beautiful spot. I mean, if you're looking for something where you like the outdoors, you like the Tahoe vibe, you love that idea of having that kind of small town living, but like not like how can I say it, like nice affluent kind of small town living, I guess you can call it. Like Auburn's definitely a good spot. I mean, farmers market, which is like legendary in these parts. I mean, one of the best farmers market there is in Auburn, Old Town Auburn. I mean, you're gonna get that feel where if a lot of Sacramento, you're not gonna find a lot of these areas where you can walk and there's like a small town kind of downtown area. A lot of those downtown areas have kind of gotten eaten up, like in Folsom, like in Roseville. But in Auburn, you're definitely gonna they cater to that. And so if you're someone who maybe likes like a Fairfax, Marin County, throwing out some Marin here today. If you like that vibe of like kind of like the old school, like the little boutique stores and everything too, Auburn's definitely a great spot for that. The other thing I'll say about Auburn is I'd say for custom homes, it's got to be one of those spots that you're going to see so many custom homes up there, small, big, large, all that stuff. People are building in Auburn because of the scenery. You know what I mean, Aaron?
Well, not only that, you got me thinking too. We hadn't mentioned this. There's some really great golf courses in the Auburn area. Dark Course is probably like the most well known course, but I mean, it's one of the when you go play golf, for instance, you're part of the experience is being outdoors and the scenery and all that stuff. And one of the reasons that a lot of people like Auburn and that area is that you're up in elevation a little bit. You're not going to get like much snow. Like if you do get snow, it's like a fluke and it melts off immediately. But you've got the pine trees, and you feel like you're in the much more like in the mountains versus like down in the valley when you're in Auburn. And so the scenery at the golf courses is just top notch as well. And there's some really nice communities that are on the golf courses out there as well. So if you're somebody that wants to live on the course, you like that lifestyle as well, they've got that. And then you mentioned the breweries, but you know that's something that they don't really I don't think that they get enough attention on. They've got some killer breweries up there, like you guys might recognize Moonraker, Knee Deep. There's a couple more that I'm not thinking of that are like really popular breweries. In fact, one of the streets is called Brewery Lane. And you go down there, and that's like where Moonraker and the other ones are at. But there's just a whole bunch of cool stuff to do up there, man. You're making me want to go up to Auburn now. That's going to mess up my whole plans to move to Shingle Springs.
I know. You got to check it out. But here's the thing with Auburn, and like Aaron hit on before, it's like it is a drive, right? Like for example, like I live in Gold
Sure.
River. If I'm going to Auburn, I got to plan out like an hour. When we show houses in Auburn specifically, because our team does it's an hour drive to kind of get over there to get situated, maybe a little less, but for the most part you gotta understand that you're kind of crossing from the 50 to the 80, and so there can be a little bit of traffic stuff going on there, so it is a little far away. And one of the things also that Auburn really does, it's beautiful scenery. If you're someone who says you like driving, you like mountain biking, even the freeways are some of the most beautiful freeways that I've probably seen in all of California. It's a nice drive up there. Like you really do feel it, like as you're leaving like Rockland and you're kind of going up, you know what I mean? And or Roseville and you're going up, the freeway just takes a whole nother vibe, and you kind of feel almost like you're in that kind of like Tahoe kind of atmosphere. It gets a little windy up there, but it's just beautiful scenery. I don't know. I would say like out of all the areas we look at, like El Dorado, Folsom and everything too, it's kind of hard to beat Auburn because, you get that feeling of like, the scenery of Northern California, but you also get that feeling that like wherever you live, it's like meshed into nature, right? You're in the landscape, there's not like, like tract home where someone's right next door to you. You don't really feel that. And it's really nice to have that kind of, that kind of thing. I'd say for someone looking to maybe another thing too, is just be careful about your internet up there. And there are certain things that you have to be as you get further away from like downtown Sacramento or whatnot, or downtown Roseville, you're gonna kind of like need to basically check like fire insurance. You're gonna need to check internet services, septic, well, all that kind of fun stuff, because that's Auburn in a nutshell. But if it's me and I'm thinking of like, I want to have like a nice little garden, maybe have some like livestock, maybe even do that kind of stuff. But I also want a really nice house and everything too. And I want it to be modern and sleek. Like Auburn's where I'm looking, you know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. Especially like if you're somebody that you're a remote worker or you're based out of Roseville, like Roseville has a ton of financial services and, medical and all that stuff. The commute from Auburn to Roseville is no big deal. Auburn to downtown Sacramento, that's not super exciting. But, on the flip side, if you're used to driving from San Jose to, San Francisco or, something like that on a regular, then going to Auburn's, a breeze. So it definitely has a lot to offer. And if you're an outdoor, enthusiast, then that should be on your list to check out, especially if you're open to being based off of the 80.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll hit some of the nitty gritty too. If you're looking to jump into Auburn currently, and we can't forecast what it's going to be like in a year or not, I would say like if you're looking for something, maybe a nice 3-2 or something, maybe not a whole bunch of land, but have a little acreage. I think you could probably get that done for like $650. But Auburn's one of those spots too, where if you're looking for that compound, you could go up to a couple $1 million as well up there. Just be careful of the internet and be careful of the fire insurance. But I've seen it all up there. What do you think, Aaron? As far as like if someone's looking for like something up there, what do you think would be a safe amount where they're like, okay, we can make this happen?
So I cheated and looked ahead of time on the MLS, and the average price per square foot in Auburn's $352.
Okay.
Auburn's tough though because there are literally like multi-million-dollar homes all over the place. Really nice houses, and then there's a ton of normal houses. I'd say you're probably like your lower price point's going to be like in the mid five, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
And then all the way up. Not saying that you won't find properties underneath that. They may need more work or something like that. But there's a whole lot of options up there. And when you're comparing the price there, comparing it to like Roseville or Rockland or one of the areas that are popular that are closer to downtown Sac, the price point's significantly different. You're still going to pay a lot less in most cases to live in Auburn unless you're buying some mansion or something like that.
No, it's a beautiful place. And like I said, you're right on the money as far as price per square foot. You can find anything. But like, how can I say it? I almost like kind of describe it as like El Dorado Hills to me is beautiful. It's lush. It's everything too. But like, I think Auburn's a little bit more lush than El Dorado Hills as far as like green. You're going to see a lot of green in Auburn, a lot of like the nice, like green, like vibe there. And Auburn's awesome. I'd say Auburn, the only thing, like I said, if you're working in Roseville, even though it might be a close distance, with the weather conditions and everything, it could be a little bit of a bear, but I think Auburn's a great spot. And if you're someone who's looking for maybe like on the 80, like Aaron said, maybe like someone who's looking for like Newcastle or someone looking for like maybe Lincoln, they want something a little bit more green, Auburn could be the spot for you. Like I said, just make sure you're working with a good realtor that knows knows what you should be watching out for in Auburn before you pull the trigger. Because remember, it is kind of country living and it is fun living too. Any parting words, my brother?
Oh, well, thanks for stopping by. Hope to see you guys in Auburn.
All right. See you guys next time.
Guess what, guys? The video just ended. But don't worry, we have more videos just like that one right over there. And if you missed that red subscribe button during the course of the video, we got you covered right there. Hit that subscribe button. We promise to bring you some amazing content. We won't let you down. Now, if you're looking for a team in the Sacramento metro area to work with, we'd love to talk to you one-on-one. We always include a Zoom link down below, so book a time where we can talk to you a little one-on-one, find out exactly what your real estate needs are.